What's happening, guys? It is Nate with Play Your Court. Today we're going to talk about the serve toss, and we're going to discuss whether you should be copying the pros or not. All right, today we're talking about the serve toss, and today's instruction is for Play Your Court members with a rating of 60 and above. And if you don't have your own Play Your Court rating, be sure to check it out for free, and we'll link you with players of the same ability in your area. So let's jump right in this. We're talking about the serve toss. We're talking about a distinguishing factor on where the toss is being released and where the arm is located on the serve. All right, so before we get into all that, let's just go over some things that we want to make sure that you know. We've done a lot of videos on the toss, and we'll just review those real quick. Hopefully those will help as well. The main thing on a toss is you never want the ball in the palm of your hand, right? You always want the ball on your fingertips. So whether you have 3 fingers, if you're using all 5 fingers, a little less common, some players do, but 3 fingers here, or you can even use the ice cream cone. And that's exactly what it sounds like. Instead of holding the ball with the palm up, I'm holding the ball off to the side. All key factors on the toss, and it's something that we see all the pros use as well. So something that we see on the Pro Tour and advanced players that we don't see recreational players doing is tossing parallel to the baseline. All right, and the reason I think this is important, we don't discuss it enough, is that a lot of times I'm working with juniors or adults, and they're trying to emulate this, right? They see Roger serve and the toss working over here, and we're gonna talk about maybe why you should not do that, all right? Now, if you're looking to take your serve and get it more advanced, we'll talk about maybe why you should. But let's talk about why you shouldn't, all right? So I guess maybe easier to tell you is like why they do it, and then maybe why it's not applicable to you, or me, whoever, right? So the reason that we see Federer and a lot of players tossing parallel to the baseline is it helps them to disguise the serve, all right? It also allows their arm to get into a range of motion for optimal pace and spin, right? But what I'm talking about with this parallel toss is that as they're lined up, they're tossing from here, all right? So the disguise, let's talk about it. So if they're hitting a flat serve, they're listing the ball out into the court, all right? Now, if they're hitting a slice serve, they can disguise it, but they can also leave it more out here at 3 o'clock, all right? Now, when we're talking about the clock, let me show you that for quick reference. Here, if my arm is out in front, that's 12 o'clock. And as I move it to my right, that's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then 3 o'clock is parallel with the baseline. All right, so as they're tossing parallel at 3 o'clock, they have to list the ball in order to get it to where they want it to go. So on a kick serve, they're listing it still back behind their head. You can see there my arm is climbing and working up, all right? So on the flat serve again, they're listing the ball forward, all right? Now the slice they can leave out, or they can disguise it by working back and then simply working on the outside of the ball, really working from that like 5 o'clock under the ball, working out to that 3 o'clock, working through the ball, all right? So this is something that we see, you know, Andy Murray, Federer, but the reason that we shouldn't necessarily be copying it is it's difficult to time, all right? So if I'm hitting a flat serve and I'm tossing out to the court, I've got to really have that timing and trust where I'm keeping my arm up and putting it where it needs to go. And that can be difficult to do. All right, so let's talk about the alternative and what we see a little bit more common through recreational play and the more accessible toss that can still give you big gains on the serve. All right, so the second way to toss, and what we see more through recreational play, the easier, the more accessible toss, is keeping the toss more at this 1 o'clock, all right? Especially for the flat serve, it's gonna be easier to get that ball to list out in front by keeping the toss at 1 o'clock. Now, you can also hit a kick serve from this manner at 1 o'clock and just keeping the ball back behind you, all right? That's still accessible, all right? But to be completely clear, it's also going to be more difficult from this 1 o'clock to get the kick serve to be quite as potent, all right? And the reason being is that when you toss parallel, you're able to get into this back arch. You're able to load the hip a little bit more. You're getting into a more exaggerated position. So that works well for advanced players and for pros, all right? But it's more difficult to toss from that parallel, all right? So you can still get that kick from tossing at 1 o'clock, all right? And that slice, still get plenty of slice at 1. You can move it over 132 if you need to, but that's gonna be more accessible. So we've got to ask ourselves, should we be trying to hit every serve from the parallel toss, right? If you're playing a lot, if you practice your serve a lot, yeah, absolutely. Good disguise, helps the kick quite a bit, right? But it's much more difficult at times. So that's why we're asking, should we be copying the pros? Okay, so maybe you're somewhere in between. Maybe you're playing in, 4 or 5 level, you're an advanced junior, like I'm looking to get a lifter on my serve. That's where I would start maybe playing with the toss being more parallel. So just to clarify, I think it's completely okay to mix the two. So for instance, if I'm hitting a kick serve, maybe I'm working more with the toss parallel, right? But if I'm hitting a flat serve, right, now I'm keeping everything out in front. I'm keeping that tossing arm there, and that is completely fine to mix the two. All right, so I'm gonna show you the 3 serves using the 2 different tosses. We'll throw those side by side so you can check them out, and then we'll finishing with some, in summation, some bullets for you. All right, so let's talk about what are the positives. Why do we want to toss parallel, right? As an advanced player, why would I want to do that? All right, so the first being is that it's going to allow you to get more rotation. From this power position, the more that I rotate, the longer the lever, the more potential for power and spin. All right, so by tossing parallel, it puts me in this position much easier. It forces me to get that rotation, that axis of turning, as well as loading from the ground up, okay? All right, it also helps with disguise because with everything working from this manner, I'm not advertising it by, trying to put only a kick, or I'm trying to hit a slice by keeping it 2 o'clock, flat at 1 o'clock. A lot of good disguise there too. You're allowing the ball to list into the direction of which you want to hit each particular serve, okay? All right, now the negatives are, it takes a lot of practice, takes a lot of rhythm, right? You've got to get comfortable with this parallel and tossing as the arm goes up, actually allowing it to list forward on that flat serve. On the kick serve, definitely helps you get into this nice bend, right? But you've got to get comfortable with the arm moving this way, right? So from that toss, I'm starting down at 6, working to 3, working to 12, and I'm allowing that to go all the way back as if it was going towards 10. Okay, so it takes some time to get used to that. All right, so that's why we ask, should you be copying the pros? If you're not playing a lot and you don't practice your serve, parallel to the baseline may not be for you. All right, now tossing out in front, what are the advantages? It's repeatable, it's consistent. It helps us keep our arm up, right? Because we want this rear pelvic tilt. It helps us to remember to stay here and get that arm all the way up, okay? Now with a kicker, stays back behind me, I can still achieve it, but that's one of the negatives, is that it doesn't force you to get into this rotation like the parallel to the baseline does. All right, so just wanted to highlight kind of the pros and cons. If you haven't been playing for a while, copying Federer may not be the best decision, but if you're looking to take your serve to the next level, maybe tossing parallel to the baseline is exactly what you need. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button. If If you never want to miss a video, hit subscribe and share this video. Sharing the video helps Play Your Court so much. So if you think this would help a friend, make sure you share it with them. And also be sure to check out the goodies below. I didn't mention it earlier, but got the Serve Mastery course for you for free just by checking out the platform, where we help you meet players in your area of the same skill level for competitive match play or for practice. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.